It has been the longest off-season of SRA. The rust has been wiped off and the cars are revved up and ready to go. Welcome to SRA.
We're off and away for SRA.
Good evening, race fans. We are here. This is your host, Austin. We are here for our last night of Season 8. It's going to be a action-packed night. I'm also joined once again with Dudley Do-Right.
Hey!
And once again, Adam.
How's it going?
Like I said, we have an action-packed night tonight. Lots up at stake for a lot of different drivers up and down the grid between gold, silver, and team. There is a good fight happening that we'll get into once we get into the team standings. But tonight we are at Watkins Glen, a night race actually. So ending on the night race, which is always fun. But let's jump into the track map, since we are talking about Watkins Glen. I love this track, but I also have a bone to pick with it, which I'll get into when we start talking about the turns. But it is located in New York, United States, 5.552 kilometers, 3.41 miles, and surprisingly only 11 turns. This is where I have my bone to pick with it. I don't know if you guys know, the bus stop does not count for turns. It's just... Here's a couple turns that is just don't have numbers. But yeah, that's my main bone to pick with it. But definitely we're gonna see action up and down this field. Turn 1 really gonna be a major overtaking opportunity, along with turn 8. Potentially the bus stop, just depending on how risque you're feeling tonight with so much at stake. And then you gotta be careful with people potentially losing the car in the boot, along with the exiting the boot of turn 9. Those seem to be kind of the common areas people get a little sketchy, along with the bus stop chicane. But Dudley, where are you seeing a lot of action happening tonight?
Yeah, for sure going into the bus stop down that long straight. I noticed, especially with the McLaren, there's lots of different people running different wing settings in this division. So I know particularly I was in a practice with Laren at one point, and he was running anywhere between 1 and 6 wing on the rear, experimenting with different speeds he could get down that straight. So depending on what we're seeing guys run down that straight out of turn 4, down to the bus stop, we could see passing for sure. The other place that seems to be a major speed differential for a lot of cars is in turn 7, at the toe of the boot, if you will. It seems like a lot of cars with different setups can go way deeper on the brakes than other cars into that corner. I was actually overtaken there. A guy kind of caught me by surprise last night, sneaking inside of me in turn 7. And it's real easy to get the rear end loose coming off of that corner and not have a good run up the hill into turn 8. And we see overtaking down that straight as well.
Adam, what about you? You got to see it firsthand last night in the booth compared to Dudley and I, who were both driving.
Well, first, I just want to give credit where credit's due. We didn't include in the introductions that we are actually graced by the D4 driver champion, Dudley Do-Right, in the booth. So I just want to give you your proper title. But
fair, I did
have
a lapse of judgment on that one. I apologize, Dudley.
Thanks, guys.
But in all seriousness, I think turn 1's always pretty action-filled. You got that downhill hard braking zone. You got a 90-degree right before the run up to the S's. If you get a really good exit out of turn 1, you have a great shot up the S's. If you're willing to take chances, it does get narrow through turn 3 at the top of the hill. So definitely gonna have to balance and weigh out your risk taking today, because there are a few places where you can pass, but it's going to come down to whether or not you think it's going to be worth it for you. in the long run. But since there's so much at stake for a lot of these teams, a lot of these individual drivers, I think we're going to see a little more chance taking than we saw in D4 last night.
Yeah, I know that we have built up all of this hype. Let's actually jump over to the driver standings and team standings to get right into that. So basically, going through it, gold, our top 3 all have a chance tonight. We have Eric Laren, Alex Krocek, and Michael Jeffries. Michael is in the fight, but he's also having a prayer, like a Hail Mary kind of night as well, because being 100 points back and a max of 110 being given out can be tough. So we'll see if miracles do happen for him. But exciting to see Eric Laren and Krocek battle each other out tonight. Then you have the silvers sitting down in P7, Turner Johnson, P9, Neil Sutherland, and P10, Elliot Levine. All of them are battling for the silver championship tonight. Neil being 45 points behind and Elliot 74. And then let's just jump to the second page of drivers just so everybody gets to see everybody involved in D3 this season. And then I will head over to the team standings, which is also getting spicy. We have Champion Motorsports Team CEL sitting at 910 points. ZDR Blackbird sitting at 870, 40 points behind. Human Nature sitting at 60 points back. And Madhouse, the 720 Evo Racing Syndicate, 89 points back. All 4 of those teams have a chance to win the Team Series championship tonight. So we have a total of, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 drivers, 9 drivers fighting for a championship tonight. If I did my math correctly. So
Oof.
we're definitely going to get a lot of action between all of these drivers.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to be really crucial that they execute the race as well. I know pit road's has been kind of the topic of the week here, since we're going to be strictly enforcing entry and exit. Got to keep all 4 tires within that pit entry line, which could catch the driver behind you off guard if you're not careful and if you don't telegraph tensions quite clearly enough. But we didn't have too much of an issue with it last night because most drivers waited till the field got more spread out before taking their pit stops. So we'll see. Maybe some will try early, but most drivers will more than likely wait till it's a little bit safer, about the halfway mark.
Yeah. Definitely agree. I noticed just through my driving that undercut being very strong here, just because of how tight the group is right away, and it slows down a lot of people, so you can gain a lot of positions through that undercut. We'll see if anybody decides, hey, let's try that one out, versus waiting till the very end like you typically see with some of the people in the top 10.
Yeah, and it even came down in some instances to what kind of car you were chasing. If the driver in front of you had a McLaren that has that really good top end after about probably 150 kilometers an hour, or 150 miles an hour, not kilometers an hour. But once it gets to that top end and the turbo really starts kicking in for that car, it's really hard to overtake and get back alongside. You might get alongside off of the corner, but then it just kind of leaves you down the straights. And so it might even come down to who you happen to be following as to formulating your strategy for that and knowing the strengths and weaknesses of your own car.
True. I know that you guys were talking about that in the D4 race chat last night between a Porsche and McLaren battle that we saw quite a bit last night. It was Selena versus Maxi Poe. But we are into qualifying now. Elliot Levine here going through the heel of the boot on their first flying lap. And we'll see where they end up. It is dusk / dark. I would say it's more dusk. We've still got some natural light on track. It's only 21 degrees, which the race was at 18. So we'll see how the drivers are able to transition with their pressure balances tonight versus qualifying versus racing.
Maybe I'm missing something, but I don't see the coach in the server right now.
Yes. Word on the street is he was planning on taking a step back tonight, but looks like that was confirmed.
All right. Well, that third place in the championship, I would say, is no longer a challenger for the for the win.
Well, that leaves Neil to carry Human Nature team on his back as we see him put it on silver pole at the moment.
Purple lap. I don't. Just quick side note here. Sorry, viewers, but I don't see our picture-in-picture working right now on our stream.
I just pulled it back up because I know you were on the standings, so let me refresh it real quick and see if that was what's going on.
Oh, maybe I do have it on the wrong thing. I'm sorry. Let me fix that.
There we go. But
Hey!
a 45-3 from Neil Jarowski. If you remember, Jarowski had a phenomenal race last week. Had a little bit of a rough patch at some points, but did a little reset and came back and took the silver win. Is not far behind Neil, only 200ths behind, and we're already seeing low 45s. I think we're going to see some 44s come out of these D3 drivers.
No doubt. I would expect in the 44s for sure, and might maybe even break it into the 43s. I know with these lower temperatures at the dusk time, as you were saying, the track's nice and cool, and it is optimum. It is rubbered in as if they did a whole day of racing on it. We're going to see some fast times in this qualifying.
We already have a 44. Jarowski puts in a 44.420.
No doubt.
Oh,
Very nice lap.
that is rapid. That's 5/10 ahead of P2. So that is going to be a big hill to climb for some of these silver drivers. And looking at their times, not a lot of green, like heavy green numbers. So Jarowski might end up running away with it if he can improve on the second half of this lap. But he's heavily in the red at the moment. But I know Johnson is improving. What were you about to say, Dudley, before I so rudely stepped on your toes?
Hey, no worries. You're the host, man. You do what you like. Yeah, I know that like last night, it took towards my last couple of laps before the car really started to come alive, because the temperature is cooler. It does afford a lot of grip, but you do have to take a few laps to get the car warmed up and really gripping the track. So I think it's not till the end of this first 10 minutes we're really going to see the fast times banging in. So guys are just about to start those laps where they're really going to be pushing the green. I think we got Turner Johnson on a pretty fast one right now, and Seckham's on a pretty good one as well. But yeah, we're already only about 2/10 behind the pole position from the D4 last night. So
I'll have to find out based off of the SRA leaderboard where this would put someone. I think this is getting close to that D2 time, maybe D1 time. That's impressive for a lot of these drivers. I know the Glen is a fan favorite. Everybody loves this track, especially with the endurance race that we got coming up this weekend.
absolutely, endurance race is going to be great. I know our man with the stats, Adam's probably already dug that information up that you just mentioned as far as where are the lap splits for what different times fall into as far as the reference times there, Adam.
You know, I wish I did, but I'm actually working out some points possibilities here as we head into the final round here. So unfortunately, I don't have that up for you quite yet.
I'm pulling it up as we speak, so
No worries. I know you're doing a great job with those spreadsheets to keep us updated on the. Oh wow, sorry. Looks like Garcia. Or sorry.
Garcia had a little
Turner.
bit of off track there, which may have affected Turner there.
Yeah. That was quite a hit in the wall. He lost the back end of the car pretty heavily there.
Yeah. Well, minute 30 left. Like, we've had a couple drivers improve, and just looking at what everybody's at, it's really, this is going to be the last lap for pretty much all the drivers that are about to cross the line here. Maybe potentially one more for Levine, but I doubt it with him crossing the line that I just saw at 11:15.
It did put him on pole, though.
It did. A 44.3, which is still in that D2 time. As soon as you cross into that 43 zone, that 43.9 is where you're going to start seeing D1 times.
Mm.
And then Aliens at 43.1. That's for a lonely D4 driver. That's insane to think about, gaining, what, 2 seconds?
2 full seconds, yeah. I don't know where they find it.
Same. That's where I was going. You read my mind. Don't know where people find it. Maybe they're just a little easier on the throttle and brake than me. I'm able to just sling it around the corners a bit more and trust the car. I'm not there yet. Sutherland up 2/10, flirting with 3, but I think it's going to be 2.5. Move him up into P3, which is 4/10 off the silver pole at the moment, and it is 10 minutes. So all the gold drivers are about to start coming out, and we have all the silver drivers about to finish their lap. Looks like Neil was the last one to cross the line before time expired. Felipe is actually gaining a lot of time here. And
Yeah, Ortega's doing a great lap now.
about 2/10, that'll move him up.
Oh shoot, we cursed him, man. He just lost it all.
That's what I do best. Unfortunate, and I am sorry, Felipe. But looks like Neil is flirting with positive numbers. He's pretty much net neutral at the moment, and Felipe crossed the line, also net neutral. Let's see where our last silver driver is going to end up. They are coming through the heel now. It's just flirting with, again, just being net even with their best time. So, consistency at least for them. But let's see if they can gain any more time. They got 2 more corners to really make it shine here. Now this corner is a very send-it corner, really, where you're just kind of lift a little bit and then back on the gas, and then the penultimate, or the last corner, is also one of those ones that you just risk it because a wall is right there and it's very easy to hit it. But it looks like he backs out and is done. So for the silvers, Levine, Jarowski, Sutherland, Johnson, Garcia, Second, Almeida, Felipe, Anderson, Alejandro, and Lee. Round out all of your silver drivers.
About 1.5 seconds separating, and a little bit more than that for the whole top. So.
Yeah. But now I'm on board with Eric Laren as he's starting his flying lap. We'll see where he ends up. And this is also the standings leader at the moment, especially for goals. So he's the overall leader for the D3 crew.
I've been having a great season overall from everything I've seen. He's a really talented driver, and it'd be cool to see him bring it home tonight.
And let's see, week 1, he was our driver of the day. He won. He didn't win silver, but he did bring it home, and then he ended up getting bumped up to gold after Donington because he won the silver at Donington. Proceeds to win Nürburgring, take a top 5 in Misano, or not, at Misano. The next race, I have the name wrong, but he wins gold. And then I forget where he finished the Indy. but he has been on the top flight for a lot of these races.
Wow, sounds like he was very similar last season. Started in silver and was winning a lot, and then continued to win when bumped to gold. So
Yeah. Krocek has also had a good season. I know really Misano was the turning point for Krocek, and unfortunately I was unable to capture that race due to my internet issues. Like I said last week, probably his best race in SRA history, and I missed it, unfortunately. And then he ends up winning at Indy. But Laren unable to make a valid lap. Who was Krocek, the guy that we were just talking about, hitting P2 off of their first lap, 7/100ths off the pole.
wow, very quick lap.
Yeah,
for the first one.
First one. It's only going to get faster from here if they can put everything together. And they are already 2/10 up. Another face that we have not seen that I am seeing populate the timing sheet right now, Logan Schaefer. This man has been ultra busy with school starting up and everything. He's unfortunately missed most of the season, if not all of it. Made a conscious effort to make it to his home race for the Watkins Glen, and he's here tonight, putting it P8 at the moment, and is up 5/10 almost.
Yeah, he's putting in a great effort right now. Another interesting thing I noticed happened when the gold drivers were first filing out. Marvin, who I have up on the small picture right now, he was out and he was warming up with the rest of the drivers, and then he suddenly just kind of pulled over and went back to the pit. So I don't know if he maybe had loaded the wrong setup and suddenly realized it, or something wasn't quite right with the car. That might make it so he doesn't get in that last really flying attempt at a lap, and so that sometimes can hurt guys' qualifying effort. So be watching out. He is putting in a heater right now. He's about 5/10 on his previous effort.
Well, Krocek improved, ends up on pole. I just was following his teammate Williams, who put it P5 at the moment, 4/10 back. So if everything works out for them, that'll be a strong showing for the team standings as well. Looks like Laren throwing a yellow flag at the moment, had maybe an incident coming out of the bus stop. 947, Krocek is also yellow flagged, and it looks like Laren has RTGs, whereas Krocek is still staying out there. See what ends up happening for those two drivers, if they're able to get out there, get the tires warmed up, and get another valid lap going. But
It's really tough with only 10 minutes to qualify. If you have to go back to pit and reset, it's really tough. You got to bring the car right back to temp as fast as you can, or you're not going to get a good effort in.
well, especially with it being 21 degrees, they don't heat up very fast. So you're doing everything you possibly can, weaving, dragging the brakes a little bit through when it's safe to do so, and just pushing at the same time while not losing the car, because you don't have maximum grip. But someone that should have maximum grip, Doug Lee, gets a little loose out of the heel. You know, in picture, we got TV, one of the TV cameras. I'm on the bonnet here, just kind of showing what the driver gets to see on track. But he is super close to the driver in front of him, so
Slow down.
that's always one of those tough options here, where you're like, do I keep pushing or do I have to back off? Looks like Lee bumps up a couple spots there, but like right on the diffuser of the car in front of him. Might have to just back out, but can't back out too much because there is a driver right behind him. I believe that is. I think that's Williams. Williams is not far behind this group. So
Riggs called it out in the chat. Sorry, but yeah,
did.
Beverly just smoked it onto the pole, and Riggs called it out in the chat ahead of time. He just threw in a pole lap.
There we go. Good old GB3. I know him and Riggs did a lot of testing here, and trying to find a car. And they opted for the Merc, but the Merc has not been kind to him this season. It's been a tough horse to wrangle, shall we say. but I know they're having a ton of fun. As you see, GB3 have a little bit of a moment there out of the bus stop.
He does. Dang it. But he's got the pole lap in. That was the important thing. He finished that lap.
Yes, that he finished the most important one. But these gold drivers are spread out through the field. Quite a hefty difference. Yeah, we're gold and silver mixed in there. Oh, Rig's telling me I'm wrong. I just knew that Watkins Glen was one of the tracks that they tested out. But
Rig's always quick to correct.
yeah, he is. He's always quick to call me out on my BS.
We love you, Riggs. Great
That's
job,
why I
man.
need
Thanks for
him.
being with us tonight.
That's why I need him around. But Nico, unfortunately, losing some time. He was up, but out of the boot, losing pretty much all of his lap right there. Let's see. Air up 2/10 at the start of their lap. They're the S's. That's always something that is fun to see. I remember doing it every single lap. I was up 2/10 going out of the S's, and then I'd hit the bus stop. Let's see if Air has a better time through the bus stop. And is improving. Staying steady. But, yeah, I bus stop is a killer for me. I cannot get it right.
It's a tough one. You got to throw it in at just the right speed, and that's the same thing that I noticed with corner number 7 at the toe of the boot there. It's trust in your car, trust in your setup enough to throw it in at the higher speed, and if you're not at that highest speed, you actually have more chance of losing the rear end and not getting out of the corner as quickly as if you are able to chuck it in there and trust that the pushing into the banking is going to get the car down low and get it to be able to drive out of the corner. It's the same thing with the bus stop. If you can trust that you're going to get that speed right on the entry and you can throw the car over to the second part of the chicane, you're going to be able to carry the speed out. And if you miss it just by a little bit, boy, it gets messy quick.
Oh, it does. But time has expired. We are checkered flag situation. Johnny Air is going to come across the line 4/10 up, which will be a hefty move for him. P8 for the time being. Lloyd's also having a hefty improvement, 3/10. Dude, that's gonna.
Project threw it down at the last minute.
I don't see it, but Lloyd puts it P10. Lee is calling it in P15 as they cross the line. Laren is the last driver out on a valid lap, up a 10th. See where this is going to put him. It's going to be a couple positions, probably. I think it's going to be only P5 at the moment, maybe P4. I lied, P3. He proved me wrong. I can't do math. But
Krochik put in a heck of a lap to get the pole there. He's just outside of breaking into the 143s.
Yes, so good laps from everybody involved. Adam, let's get your impressions. We spoke for majority of that qualifying. Let's hear what you got to see and what you're thinking is going to happen tonight after that qualifying.
Well, I think we got a pretty good mix of drivers up here. I definitely think Krochik did what he needed to do if he wants to steal this drivers championship from Laren, because he's getting that one bonus point for qualifying on pole. So that's one battle overcome. Now we look forward to the race. Good to see GB3 up there too, and that AMG, like you said, definitely not a car we typically see to the front. So awesome to see that, and I'm curious to see how that'll work out tonight. We saw. Let's see. There was another name I was going to mention here.
Levine for the silvers.
Absolutely. Yep. That was it. Levine with the silver, keeping it at P4 despite all the gold times. So that's a really solid lap. So we definitely expect to see Levine holding his own out there. And same with Jaworski, keeping it within the top 10 as well. So excellent qualifying effort out of those two drivers. Definitely not the first time we've seen it either. So definitely good for them as they go for the let's see, who's our drivers for silver.
Turner Johnson, Neil Sutherland, and Elliot
leaders.
Levine. Elliot is 74 points back. Neil is 45, and Turner is our silver leader at the moment.
Okay, so we got those two right together, right in 11th and 12th. So that's going to be interesting to see them slugging it out right next to each other as well. So we'll keep it nice and close together so we can keep an eye on them.
That does help us out quite a bit. And that does help Levine out, even though I don't know this point difference, but I know it's not 70 points between P4 and P11 and 12.
Yeah.
That's for sure. So it's going to be a tough hill for Elliot to climb tonight, but it's racing. You never know what's going to happen.
Absolutely. Starting P4 is definitely a good way to start that climb, though.
True. And Watkins Glen has been kind of notorious in the SRA community after last season. So the whole go bowling, we are hoping we're not going to see that tonight. But I think these drivers will do just fine in navigating turn 1 and the S's. I know it was a little chaotic for a couple other divisions last night that raced.
And they're off on their pace lap, getting the cars warmed up before they start. I know getting through the S's, it's such a tempting thing if you get a good run out of corner 1 to get beside the guy going through the S's, but boy, is it risky. I ended up beside ended up battling first and second place basically through the S's at one point. And it's just so many things in my mind were like, this is a bad idea. Why am I doing this? But thankfully, the other driver involved, Maxwell, was very respectful, and we both made it through there without incident. And but man, it gets so tight right about where we're looking right now, coming through that last part of the S's. The cars can get loose, and anything can really happen. And we just hope everybody makes it through there, and we can see some good, solid racing tonight.
Well, that also through the S's, if you hit those curbs, like you take just a little bit too much, those curbs will throw you around like a bucking Bronco.
Absolutely.
So that's also something you have to balance while going through there.
Especially for the lower riding cars like the McLaren.
Mm-hmm. I saw quite a few cars get thrown around in the practice race on lap 1 through that S section. And when you're towards the back, you're kind of white knuckling a little bit as you got that first lap.
Yeah, absolutely. So I like predictions, and let's say I want to say I think Nico Suave gains a couple positions on this opening set of laps here. What do you guys think? Who's some other big movers to keep an eye out for?
I think Williams, especially with having that Ferrari in front of him in P7 and that turbo lag off of that. So also think Neil and maybe Turner Johnson will also potentially have some good luck there as well. Getting a better jump.
That was my call for sure too, is Turner Johnson with having the BMW in front of him and then a Ferrari in front of that. I think the McLaren and the train of McLarens he has behind him, they're going to be able to build speed and move up through into the top 10 without much delay. They're going to be moving up the standings quickly.
Yeah. Also, if you have that inside line too for turn 1, it helps out quite a bit because
No
you're
doubt.
able to send it a little bit but safely. Those drivers on the outside just kind of being a little offline on that turn in. But we are starting to line up, and we are 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 all the way down. We are on this penultimate corner here, getting ready for the start. Being 18 degrees, I think it's also, I believe it gets colder throughout the night since we are at 10 o'clock at night. So hopefully these drivers actually aired up their tires a little bit more to gain pressure throughout the night. But we passed the go bowling sign here. Are on the straight. All the cars are now on the straight. Getting closer to the line. Always a favorite part, just waiting for it. There it is, off and away for SRA for the last time this season. Procheck getting a nice run, but GB3 is also there. Hitting the brakes a little early, just to get the car safely around, so that allows Procheck and Laren to kind of get around. It looks like Schaefer is throwing a yellow. A bunch of yellows being thrown in the back here as we are heading up the S's.
Massive track blockage back there, about 5 or 6 cars involved.
That is rough. But GB3 not having the best start, so that Laren and Procheck get away. Sutherland moves up to P8, now P7. Levine throwing a yellow out of the bus stop. Gets a little loose and is right on that apex of that exit, so that is a tough spot to be parked at the moment. But someone that we didn't mention that we should also keep an eye on, Williams. P4 at the moment. So if he stays
You
up
called
there,
it big mover. Big mover on the opening lap. Wow.
yeah. If this stays, that will help solidify Procheck and Williams for the team. Playing that team game right now, which is good. But yeah, moved up 4 spots. Sutherland moved up 5. Felipe moved up 6. Marvin 8. Lee 8. So some big movers that we didn't expect.
Well, I'll tell you, part of that big pileup, turn 1, that's going to have big championship implications as we see Nate Roger got collected. He's got damaged all the way around that McLaren, running very slow, just trying to limp it back to pit lane at this point. But that's going to have big implications for the championship leading ZDR Blackbird team.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough hill to climb for them, unfortunately.
Looks like Marvin headed for the pits to get some repairs as well here. He might have been
those
involved in that first turn.
Roger, Almeida, Gill, Levine, also involved, down to 18th at the moment.
Oh, that's rough. But
Lee throws in the early fastest lap.
The fastest lap of 5 minutes and 37 seconds. That's always the fun part on lap 1. Who gets the fastest lap for a hot minute here. But the top 3 kind of running away a little bit from Williams just because of all the chaos that's kind of happened. So Williams being 2.2 back, so top 3 all within a second of each other basically. We'll see what happens. I know lately we've been seeing a lot of drivers kind of pulling off early. You know, last week, heartbreak with the coach getting that last second penalty, but he kind of started pulling away early on and had that grip the entire time. I know Donington was a similar situation where the 2 leaders pulled away and held on to that gap for pretty much the whole race. We'll see if these 3 stay close or somebody starts hitting that nice gap. As we see GB3 having a little bit of a moment there on that last turn, touching the grass, which drops him back a little bit. Procheck has the fastest lap for not even 2 seconds, maybe a second, as Laren pulls a 45.5 on their second lap.
And proceeds to go very wide in quarter 1, but carries that speed out through it. Sometimes it's worth that off track to keep the speed up and straight early on in the race.
Yeah, and early pit stops, not surprised seeing a lot of these pit stops, especially for, like you said, drivers that were involved in that lap 1 stuff, but a lot of these drivers trying to get that undercut to work for them. I just think on a small track like this, where it's also tough to pass, it's worth it getting that undercut in, just because you get that free air that much quicker than everybody else, so you're able to actually go in full push and not have to worry about it, as we see Neil just eyeing up a move here on Jarowski.
Yeah, it's really tight here, about 5th through 10th place. All the cars, they kind of keep rubber banding a little bit. Definitely all oftentimes getting up on each other's bumper. through the boot, that's where I've definitely noticed the largest gaps in speed. It seems that's where you can really see the difference in guys' setups, which to me is what part of what makes Watkins a little bit more fun and a little bit more dynamic than some of the other tracks that we race on here in ACC is you find different ways to go fast here. Whereas most of the tracks we have, it's like, okay, here's the setup, here's how you go fast, and all the cars are pretty much trying to do the same thing. Here at Watkins, I find, you know, some cars are running a low drag setup and really dependent on getting that speed through the first section. Other cars are running high wing, lots of drag, and they're really planning on powering through all the corners in the second and third sections and making up their time there. So you can really see the difference in those setups come out in the corners of the boot for sure.
Yeah, I also think the boot is also very technical compared to a lot of the track here, just because, you know, turn 1, sharp 90, heavy braking, and then you got S's, which is flat out, and then a basically send it corner, however, as long as you feel comfortable, as Jarowski ends up spinning and Neil almost collects him. Neil does spin himself. I'm gonna actually get a replay from Neil's perspective because Jarowski just took too much curb, bottomed out, spun, and I think Neil just kind of tried to dive out of the way, yeah, and by diving out of the way, touching the grass and coming back, also bottoms out his car. So Neil dropping down to P7, Jarowski down to P11 after all is said and done. But yeah, as I'm saying, that the boot is probably just one of those things. It's just so much more technical. You're on and off brake so quickly and back on again so quickly that you're just trying to find that perfect balance, and it's a little easier to get the car to slide out on you.
Doubt about it. Boy, in that same instance, in that incident you just looked at, so Turner Johnson also made a move on Nico Suave into the bus stop, and then immediately after making that move came upon the spun car and had to adjust for that. And boy, he kept it together the whole time. That's extremely risky going to the bus stop. The bus stop, you're already right on the edge of just about everything happening wrong with the car, and to have both those things happen at the same time, he did a fantastic job of completing the pass and keeping it on the track.
Yeah, that is just one of those things where it's like that fine line that you're trying to balance of not letting, being that aggressive driver that you need to be to gain that spot, but also just dancing that line of am I gonna miss this driver that spun out ahead. But it's also one of those things too, yellow flags, depends on where that happens as well. Lee's throwing on the yellow flag out of the bus stop. What happened here? Lee, go back 30 on this one. Looks like both. I'm gonna get it from the cockpit. You'll have it on the TV2 here. Looks like Lee just touched the grass a little bit. I'm gonna get it from
got a little wide.
the bonnet so that we kind of see a little more of the driver's eye. Man, that glare that ACC throws out. Not fun, actually. I just saw it happen.
Yeah, I definitely have had numerous times where in the night races, that little bit of dust that gets kicked up by somebody touching the grass, going through a corner just ahead of you, it can really throw your racing line off if you're not used to it at all. Because it can just make it can just cloud your vision of that apex just the tiniest little bit. It can really, you wouldn't think it would make that big a difference, but it really does. It can make you just shy away from the apex that tiny bit. And when you got guys pushing as hard as these guys in D3 are, being just an inch or two off your apex can make all the difference on the exit of the corner.
Yeah. Well, remember GB3 a couple laps ago had a little bit of a slide coming out of the last turn, was about a second off of Laren, but has been fighting back, pulling fastest lap after fastest lap, sitting at a 44.8 on full fuel, mind you, and it is right on the diffuser of Laren, and Krocek has kind of started stepping away. since these two are battling, so Krochek just kind of biding their time and gaining some distance from these two. Also, do we see a changed man tonight, considering that GB3, don't remember, had a connection issue and went to SimRig Showcase chat and was saying, asking for modem recommendations as he was currently burning his in the backyard. So, let's hoping tonight he has solved his internet issues, and we'll find out.
Looks like Air just lost a position to Sutherland between 5th and 6th place right there. He did what I was talking about earlier, where he was a little bit timid coming into corner 7, the toe of the boot. And especially with these mid-engine cars, if you're timid in there and you don't get the car to press down into that banking, when you go to get back on the throttle, it's very easy to get the rear end loose. He did that. He got to the inside, and then you've got a terrible run coming up the hill to corner 8. And it looks like Southern was able to take advantage of that and take 5th place away from him.
That's unfortunate, especially the Ferrari as well, having that turbo leg on top of that. So any little misjudgment there, you're just kind of a sitting duck. And I see, yeah, you have it in the pit, Levine there, kind of at the entrance of the boot, known as the chute, going.
Ooh, just loses the back end.
It's
backs it off the track into the wall.
Well, he's got the leaders coming up right behind him, which has affected things a little bit. Laren is starting to reel back Krochek here just because of that. There is Levine right there, as you saw off the wing of Eric. I see Lloyd also throwing a yellow at the moment. Where's that at? That is also into the chute.
Wow. A lot of people having problems entering the boot.
Yeah,
I bet we got a lot of guys running low down for his setups tonight, just trying to get that extra speed down the straightaways.
The chute that's a tough corner because it is downhill, so you're really trying to get the car slowed down with the extra speed that you do kind of gain along with the natural physics of a downhill braking spot. So you're just kind of being a little more cautious, but it was a little easier to unsettle the car as you're throwing it forward and then also throwing the weight back to the rear while taking, I think it not really cambered as much as you want it to be to take that corner faster, so it does affect things. Lloyd also throwing on another yellow. I think he might, yep, into the pits for Lloyd.
Yeah, that's why I saw him overtaking him here, and I got excited for a minute, but it was just him going into the pits. It's strange that our race control actually throws up yellow flags anybody goes in the pit, because they slow down so early on the side of the track that the program thinks they're having some trouble of some kind. So we're getting false yellow flags every time.
It's quite a common occurrence on a lot of tracks, I've noticed this season. But we are almost 15 minutes into this race. Adam, what are you seeing so far throughout all of tonight?
And so far, I'm seeing Krochek doing exactly what he needs to do, and Laren, for that matter, as well, executing really, really well, maximizing the points potential for the night. Obviously, not just driver standings on the line, but also team standings. Seeing Johnson and Sutherland as they're fighting for that silver as well. They're both, we've already seen pretty decent movements from them, hanging in there strong with the BMW for Sutherland, which I kind of wondered if he'd be able to have good, top 5, top 10 pace with that throughout the race, or if it would fall off a little bit. But so far holding in there strong. And, so we'll try to get some points updates for you in just a minute. I got that just about finished. So
yeah, I think silver is just going to be between Turner and Neal tonight. It looks like Elliott RTG'd and called it a night, having a little rough go of it tonight, unfortunately. Been there. You get in the wrong headspace, especially on a demanding track like this, and it's tough to recover from.
No doubt. We've been turning it. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say Turner currently holding on to that lead for silver, 473 points to 436 for Sutherland as they currently run.
It's gonna be hotly contested battle. Let's see if because they were only 45 points apart going into this.
It has closed.
Yeah, I forget. There isn't a whole lot of a 45 gap. It's really pretty much you have to, if you finish P10, the closest 45 is what, I think it's like in the 20s, maybe 30s, off the top of my head.
It is. So definitely, if Neo's gonna catch Turner, is definitely gonna have to have a pretty bad day. Something pretty catastrophic is gonna have to happen for that to be the result. But
I think right now we only have 19 drivers, so
yeah, with what we've seen so far in the track blocking pileup we had on the first lap or second lap, I believe, definitely anything could happen.
Well, we have a couple people in chat. Darren Robichaud going, let's go, good luck. Our wonderful Canadian friend. And then we got Dan Cran coming in and saying, let's go GB3, as we see GB3 trying to finally make a move here. Goes the inside, touches the curb though. Gets unsettled. Now it's a drag race up the hill here between these turns. I'm actually going to go into an outside cam so you can kind of see this. Side by side, looks like Laren has the better traction being on that outside. GB3 is now going to tuck into that slipstream. Is he going to make a move here into the chicane of the bus stop? Opts to follow, which is more advised considering it is tough to go there 2x2, but that slows him down drastically. Drops off quite a bit off the back of that diffuser. So gonna have
good
to good attempts to regain everything, focus back up and try again. You got 43 minutes to make a move, but these two fighting for that long, Laren now has a 3-second gap to Crochet to make up.
No doubt about it. That was a bold move going into corner one. He touched that curb, as you said, just a little bit on the inside, and that unsettled the car. He couldn't get as fast a run down that straight, and you saw the straight line speed of the McLaren just slowly reel him back in and take that position back.
Yeah, and some people pointing out in chat that the McLaren does have a very high-end top speed, especially depending on how much wing you're deciding to run here. Like you stated early on, that you saw some drivers testing out different wings to see top-end speed. And,
yeah.
We're seeing it tonight.
I'm fairly sure Laren, in one practice session I was in, another driver was specifically asking him because his section 1 times were dramatically, like, way down, super low. And one of the other drivers that was tested in the session asked him, what are you running for a wing? And his answer was that he was testing 1 and 6. So he was running either no rear wing at all, basically, or half rear wing. And either one of those settings can get really hairy around here.
Yeah, I agree. It's gonna be one of those things where you might get a little too loose through some corners and have some sketchy moments, but you are also going to be uber quick in sector 1, since it is pretty much flat out after that 90-degree first turn, aptly named the 90.
Right. Speaking of which, take us through a lap here, if you would. Just, I don't think we've done a full lap. We're maybe right on board with GB3 right now, and just walk us through the whole thing.
Yeah, since he does have the fastest lap, I'm going to wait a little bit. Once he gets close to that line, I will throw it on board and go. And it looks like somebody said a bolt snapped on my pedals. My race is done. Unfortunate. That is tough to see. I wonder, I don't recognize the username, so you're going to have to let me know who that is in chat.
Who are you? Let us know.
But let's jump on board here with GB3. The lap really starts here on this last corner, really trying to maximize everything out of that corner, being as close to the wall as you possibly can. If you could go to speed, he also has a potential move being made. Go down into this heavy braking zone starting around 200. Don't touch that inside curb, that second raised one. Go as wide as you can, that full curb. You can use it, and then you're flat out through the S's here, but you're not wanting to touch the curb. can easily unsettle that car. And now you're onto this back straight, which is, again, continuing flat out. So turn 1 affects everything up until this point. Around that Marshall Hut, around 300, you're braking and going down to 4th. Really commit for that bus stop and sling the car around. And then out of the exit, you're sitting in that 4th gear, kind of coasting a little bit through that turn, down into the chute, braking at a braking marker of a water sewer. And you sling it around 3rd there, try to maximize the exit with that dipped curbing. Now you're into the toe. Nice uphill section where it's easier to carry more speed because you can brake into it. And then continuing up the hill here and roughly around 150 braking. Nice apex and bringing the car out wide again. You can use almost every little bit of track here, which is nice, and just making sure your car stays on the curbing. Nice exit outside that uphill, which the braking marker is just a sign that can easily be taken out. Lifting off there into the penultimate corner and then getting back on the throttle, and you can carry it out a little bit wider than that, but that is a lap around here. That was a 145 3.9 for GB3 on full fuel there. But yeah, it's a very quick track. You're not on the brake all that often. You're on throttle more than anything here compared to a lot of other tracks where you're trying to balance things. But like I said, the boot being very technical where you're on throttle, off throttle, coasting, back on throttle. So very technical through there. And seeing a lot of drivers struggle with it tonight, as we saw. And then inside the toe, you're seeing a lot of drivers taking advantage of somebody kind of having that hesitation moment. So, but let's get back to the race. You've been following
Fantastic
Speed.
stuff. Yes, Speed's been pushed on the back of Suave here. I believe Suave either made a slight mistake or just lost some time when Turner Johnson was able to overtake him for 7th place. I didn't actually see it, but I think it was on my feed, and I was just paying attention to some other things. And then ever since then, Speed's been pushing toward the back of him as well. So that's about the closest battle we have. Everybody else is kind of spread out a little bit around the track at this point. We're going to see some more pit stops probably making their way in fairly soon. Oh, just as I say that, we're having some action back on the course here. Oh, and he disconnected. I believe that was Almeida that we just lost. I think the reason he went yellow is he disconnected and was off track because of the disconnect, and then he was gone.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Event.
Update though, we have E1 through 15 are all on the lead lap at the moment. Anderson, Roger, and Alejandro right now, 16, 17, and 18 are currently a lap down. But Speed going very deep into turn 1 there, which might allow Felipe to potentially think about it, but I think Felipe is too far back. I believe that is actually a lapped car right behind him. I just saw a car behind and thought it was Felipe.
We do have that Suave's closed back up on Johnson at first there for a second, I thought, but
yeah, he's catching up. GB3's also catching up to Laren, but Prochek also pulling out a hefty lead, 4.2 right now. But if Laren continues to stay in P2, it's gonna be close. But I think ultimately wins out if things stay this way. Correct me if I'm wrong there, Adam.
No, as it stands right now, as they run, Laren is still leading with 695, Prochek with 656 for that gold standings.
That's me a tight one. I think, does it change at all if Laren ends up P3? I don't think it's that big of a difference between P1 to P3.
No, that'd only be a difference of about 12 points, so not quite enough there, no.
Okay. Yeah, I know
So
that's tough one to
Pretty
Fight
locked
battle.
in.
Yeah,
But as we found out last week, it's not over till it's over. 'Cause,
exactly.
big things can happen, small mistakes.
But another thing too I want to comment on is the fact that we have Williams in P4, but the next car is Sutherland, who is a second back, who also has 11 seconds to get to GB3. So if Williams can continue just kind of playing rear gunner for Crowcheck, keep all the pressure off, and let these three battle it out, it make things so much easier. So Sean just kind of being that ultimate teammate, kind of Fernando Alonso style turkey of Hungaroring-esque defendant, and just being that ultimate teammate and holding people off. So we'll see how that plays out for him in the team standings, but I believe right now that is helping them out a lot to lock that one down.
Yeah, it'll be. I don't think we're really going to see much of a gain for ZDR, as like you said, Rogers still all the way down in 17th. Gained a couple spots. It was 21st after the wreck, and there's been a couple incidents since then that have allowed him to gain a couple spots, but still champion CEL's taking over the points lead from the team standings with 1,105 points right now to ZDR Blackbird's 983.
Oof.
So yeah, pretty much have it sealed up at this point. I don't think it's going to be like I said, it's going to take some kind of act of God or something to fall on the champion team at this point to make anything change there.
Yeah, but like we stated, though, racing, anything is possible. We'll see what happens. GB3 having to back off there. I don't know why he backed off. He had a run and
Sure did.
decided not to time. I mean, smart call though, especially heading into the bus stop. But still got 32 minutes. But it took you 10 minutes just to get back into fighting distance.
That's true, but at the same time, you don't want to do something on accident that might compromise points leaders' battle for that championship or anything if you're not really involved.
True.
Very much. Yeah. It's one of the things I think was on Maxwell's mind while he was battling with me for the lead last night. And I could almost tell, like, there was a couple times he could have thrown it in and probably would have
This was
he
like the
didn't.
first race versus the last race.
Right. If he hadn't known, hey, like, this guy's fighting for the championship win. Like, I'm not. So I'm not gonna throw it on the inside of him and possibly have something silly happen and we both end up wiped out. Like, you just feel really bad if that was the way that ended something.
Yeah, totally get that. It is a season, not that comes down to it as well, not just this one race. So, good on GB3 for recognizing that as well. Right now, Laren going a little wide there, getting a little loose. Maybe this allows GB3 to potentially have another run here. Looking like it has a little bit more top end speed at the moment. Is slowly gaining, but
Closing the gap.
I don't think he's gonna have enough juice to get it
Nope.
before the bus stop, which just kind of another lap, just gonna be following that rear wing of a McLaren. I think
McLaren
GB3
is just so rapid in a straight line, man. It's so difficult to overtake it.
GB3 is gonna be a little done with the McLaren. Doesn't want to see another one for a while.
Sick of the back end of that car.
Yeah, and I've had races like that where I'm like, I am done seeing this car for. I don't want to see another one for another 2 weeks, kind of thing.
When the Ferrari first hit ACC, the new Ferrari, the 296, it was like every open lobby server I went into was just, it's like, gosh, I'm sick of seeing the back of this car. It is so ugly. I don't want to see it anymore.
Especially after going from the 488 to that.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
I know, Dudley, this is your first season. Last season, D3 was just all Ferraris. It was a
Yes.
spec class for Ferraris. It seemed like everybody decided this is the brand new toy we're going to use. I don't blame them. Out of the box, Ferrari was probably one of the easier cars to drive fast and gain a lot of time out of it.
No doubt. I know, like I said, when I first saw it come and hit, it seemed like everybody was driving it, and it was just, I mean, like you said, it's a lot like in D3 or in D4 this year. Even we saw a ton of people driving the new McLaren. So I think it is what you said a little bit about the shiny new fresh toy. Let's see what this thing can do. So it's definitely been fun.
Meanwhile, I went with the older car. Let me go break out the BMW.
Yeah, great job holding up the Beamer flag this year, man.
Yeah, Neil right now doing the same thing here in D3, holding the Beamer flag. GB3 goes a little wide, got on the gas a little too early. Had some contact there with the Armco barrier. Drops back 1 second. That's going to be tough mentally to come back from when you're that close, because that chute, if you get on the gas too early like we saw GB3 do, you are hitting the wall. But
here I got Marvin overtaking Garcia back for 11th place. Garcia looks like he just got a bad run down that straight, and off he goes around him into the bus stop.
Yeah, that's definitely one of those things that you just got to play very cautiously, but looks like Marvin was able to execute properly on that one. But I'm looking at the Air Johnson Suave fight. This is
no
heating
doubt.
up. 3 cars.
Big time.
And Air getting a little loose along with Johnson, so we'll see if Suave is going to actually be the one to be opportunistic here. Kind of wait for these cars to go 2 by. And Steve, who's faster? I'm going to follow that person. Kind of a bonus, I should say, of being 3rd car in. You get to really see who's going to be faster, and you can follow their line if they end up going side by side.
Johnson gets a fairly good run out of the first corner there, so it spread them back out a little bit. They're all about a half-second gap now again.
Yeah, but it's a McLaren on McLaren, but they are ganging up on a Ferrari.
Yes.
So we'll see. But Johnny Air here has been holding his own for sure. I know I've raced with him back in D4 a couple seasons ago with his teammate Matt Anastasi. They did very well. Got bumped up to D3, and he's been holding his own here, and he's been improving every season. And right now we're seeing him fighting for P6. So especially in a car that is not the greatest out of exits. So you're really having to play defensive, it seems like, when you have a faster car like a McLaren with that top-end speed right behind you.
We are over halfway through the race now, and we're definitely starting to see coming out of turn 7, the toe of the boot there. I know, especially with the McLaren, but a lot of the engine cars, especially, just tend to get super rear end loose down there in that turn 7, just trying to get back on the throttle to accelerate out of that, and it's so sketchy because it's one of those corners that could just start to carry, and if you're not real careful, you can end up in the barrier quickly coming out of there, and it'll ruin your race in a snap.
Yeah, it's not just the mid-engine cars too. I can tell you the front-engine cars also get that rear snap as well. So it's common to see for a lot of different cars.
Yeah, it's a tough corner.
Like you said, about halfway through. Not a lot of drivers have pit so far. It's really only the people that were involved in the lap 1 stuff, and then a couple of the people trying to make the undercut work. let's see. Just kind of doing it. I know John's here with us in Hart because right now he had some things pop up where he was unable to join us tonight. But we always like hearing something that he has brought to the booth. Biggest winners and losers so far. Again, with it being a longer pit window, this gets a little tough. But Marvin at the moment being 11 spots up, starting 22nd. I know the on screen, if you're just joining us, says 18. We did have 22 drivers, but through some first lap, probably call shenanigans and
Shenanigans, that's a great word.
there was a couple drivers that had some hefty damage, and also a driver that had a bolt snap on their pedal. So we are down to 18 at the moment. But Marvin up 18, and then probably, sorry, Levine probably would be him there as we see Suave get a little loose out of turn 1. Yeah, Levine probably being one of the unfortunate biggest losers at the moment just because he did start E4 and had some issues going on in the race. I think that might have been the person that had the bolt snap on their pedals.
Johnson continues to chase down Johnny Air here. He's just been that half second or so off of him every lap. Oh, looks like we might have an overtake back here with speed on Suave now too.
Hop on Speed's passenger camera and see as we go to the tail hill.
Suave dropped way back.
What happened to Suave? He was right up in that battle with Johnson and Air.
Yeah,
falling right behind Johnson. Suddenly 5 seconds back, under pressure from Speed now.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
Oh, he got real loose here in this corner. I just pulled it up in the PIP.
I'm gonna go defensive. This corner, that inside line is so much stronger than the outside line. Even though you're, you can brake a little later being on the outside, but that inside line is just so strong. But very good defensive moves here from Suave. Speed just trying to, as we say every week, the school of Doug, be a menace in the mirrors. Occupy every square inch of that mirror and disappear and reappear. Just make them have the focus on you rather than the track. And Speed is trying to do all of that. Surprised he's not doing what Doug likes to do and be the absolute menace and start flashing the lights here and there. But Speed going a little wide. Adam,
using one of his off tracks to gain some speed down the straightaway right now.
Hey, I know that corner, it's very easy to get a no time gained. I may have done it a couple times during the practice race. But throwing it back to what Adam said, Suave was in that battle with Johnson and Air. I know in turn 1 he did get a little loose, but I didn't think it was enough to drop him back 5 seconds. But maybe the pressure of Speed here has slowed him down enough where his dropping back. He's now down 7 seconds.
Yeah, I actually caught it real quick there for a second. I did back the replay back to it for just a second, but I just barely caught it. It was after the bus stop in that long sweep right. He got loose and got real close, if not made a little bit of contact with the inside barrier. So he might be carrying a tiny bit of air damage now, but definitely lost a few seconds there with that getting that loose. And that's when Speed got right up on the back of him. And now he's feeling the pressure, which I think maybe some aero damage, maybe just the pressure of Speed being there, but he's definitely struggling.
But yeah, right now the 3 battles that we are keeping an eye on, we have Speed, Johnson, and GB3 all fighting for spots. But Procheck just kind of cruising along at the moment, 8 seconds ahead in P1.
Yeah, and if anyone's just joining the broadcast, just a quick rundown of your points. We do have, let's see, it's like, obviously Laren still setting P1 for the gold drivers with 695, Krochik with 656 as it stands, and silver members Turner Johnson still leading with 473 over Sutherland's 436. And team-wise, champion CEL is leading with 1,105 points to ZDR Blackbird's 983. So pretty big margins there. It's going to be pretty hard to overcome unless something major happens. As you said, we're about 2/3 of the way through the race at this point, but still a lot of stops to come. And a lot of merging back into traffic to happen. We'll see what happens if any major incidents come from that. Hopefully not, for the sake of these drivers, but for the sake of the viewers, it does get interesting if there are issues like that, as we see Johnson hit the pits.
Well, you were saying hopefully no major incidents. Well, Williams, I know Dudley caught it in the pip there. I pulled it up on the main screen and caught the onboard of what happened. But going through the bus stop, ends up getting a little loose off of the ending exit of the bus stop and absolutely just murders the wall with his rear end. So he's going to have some hefty diffuser damage.
And now Suave is getting backed up behind him, which is allowing Speed to back up right behind him. They're all nose to tail now. With Williams really struggling. Let's see if he hits the pits here to take care of this damage. No, he opts to stay out, it looks like. So this is going to get interesting if he's bottling up down this straight. If he does have any diffuser damage, it's going to slow that car down quite a bit.
Well, yeah, and then Speed, just a little, like you were saying, behind Suave, as I'm on board with him, ends up going wide in that penultimate turn. So does Suave. They're going a little wide in turn 1. Both of them are tire wear, risking some track cuts there as well with 18 minutes left. We obviously don't know who's got what. I see some flashers going on there in the pit. Beverly's also trying to make some moves. I'm actually jump on board with that. Oh, you're already on it. Perfect. Like,
sorry.
You're ahead of the game on me on that one. I think it was some blue flags in there as well, so kind of.
Yeah, it looked like Lee was getting in the mix a little bit, and it slowed. It was slowing Laren down, brought Beverly right up on the back bumper of him. But now that he's gotten out of the way, Laren is pulling just a little back of a gap.
Yeah. But that's also, oh my goodness, Suave having a little bit of a moment there into the toe. Goes a little wide, and now has to play super defensive here. As Speed going to dart back out. Speed is darting back out to the outside line, but Suave has that defensive line, and Speed gets a little loose, which ruins his run up the hill here. But a little further back, Marvin on Felipe for P10 is also heating up. So 17 minutes left. Some drivers are getting a little feisty and trying to make some moves happen here throughout the entire track.
No doubt it's starting to get to crunch time. If I don't care who you are, if you're doing sim racing at this level, where you're in a league and you're doing a race every week, you want to win. That's all there is to it. You're a race car driver. You want to take positions, and it doesn't matter if it means nothing as far as the championship at this point. If it's possible to overtake the car in front of you, you're going to be trying to do it at this point in the race.
Oh yeah, like every single point matters in terms of a moral victory, shall we say?
Absolutely.
But I know GB3 being ever so patient, but like we said, probably just gonna be tired of seeing the McLaren for a while, and does not want to see another one for a long time, as he has been all over Laren's diffuser pretty much all race. But it looks like he had a little bit of a moment there coming out of the boot, and gets a little slidey. But
hate to interrupt you, but we got a bit of a mix-up here. Turner Johnson was just in last lap, was sitting in the pits for 2 full minutes, and now did not fulfill the requirements for his pit service. So he has to come in again this lap. So he's already down 2 laps. Just now went down 3 laps. So that's gonna make a huge shakeup in the
oh
silver
my
standings.
Goodness! What just happened?
Tough. What are you seeing, Dudley?
Adam, I mean, I want to hear what you guys are speculating here. I'm a little bit new to the pit stop requirement stuff. What could have possibly caused that right there? Did he end up taking fuel and fixing damage, or take tires and fixing damage, but forget to take fuel, and that didn't?
I'm gonna say he might have left tires on the first time and didn't take fuel and then had to come back in and get fuel again. But 2 minutes still seems like a long stop for tires.
It is.
No doubt.
Because the common occurrence, I will say, that we see with people that take their pit and then don't fulfill the pit requirements is if they miss their box. When you miss your box, you get lifted up and then put back down. And because it's roughly the same amount of time it is for a normal pit stop, people just kind of be like, okay, I can turn my engine on and go. I've seen that happen quite a bit, actually.
So did he miss his box and like try to fiddle around by moving back and forth to try to get back in? Because I haven't figured out a way. If you miss your box or do something wrong with your pit stop, there's no way to reinitiate the pit stop. You have to drive out and drive in again.
Yeah, it's tough to really say exactly what happened, but I want to say a very risque move just happened on the main screen there. We had Ethan Marvin passing Felipe into the bus stop, but there was some contact out of turn 1, and there may have made Felipe a little mad, so he gave the little flashers after the move was made. That was a, hey, nice move kind of flasher. I can't say for certain. Also, yes, RTG is a very big possibility because you do lock your car for the tow time and a normal pit stop. But GB3, is he going to go for the move now? We're heading to the bus stop. He takes that inside line. He is making the move. He has made the move that we've been watching him eye up this entire race. And they they come out of it unscathed, very respectful from both drivers. And
let's take a look at this on board in the PIP.
That was a fantastic move and a big gutsy move from GB3, but I know he's been eyeing it up all race. And sometimes that's where the patience pays off.
He just stuck it in there on the bus stop and let it ride. Amazing.
I will say, as a driver, that is my favorite move to make, is going on that inside line of the bus stop, just because you're playing chicken with the car behind that you're racing against, and you kind of just say, I'm taking the inside line, and you get a little elbows out. It's exhilarating, shall I say, as a driver when you're able to pull it off cleanly like that.
Yeah, just when we were thinking none of the just to continue on earlier, quick note, Neil Sutherland's actually taken over the silver lead with 441 points, with Johnson currently running 18th. That puts him at 440 points. So the leading by 1 point for the silver drivers is Neil Sutherland right now.
Wow. 1 point? Oh my gosh, that is... I've seen that a couple times, actually. My first season, Landon Drebes lost the championship by 1 single point. So it's not that rare to have a single point be the one that decides things for a lot of drivers. Oh, GB3 has a moment out of the bus stop, and Laren
takes the spot.
Yes, Laren does take the spot. Something we did not mention is Garcia has a stop go 30 at the moment. Probably speeding into the pit lane is my best guess.
Oh man, what a bummer. Speed also taking his pit stop right now. He's in and out, or no, he's stopping now. Let's see how long he stopped here. Quick stop and he's away.
Yeah, that optimizing that pit stop there really does help you out. I think stop time of 6 seconds, maybe 5 is roughly what you're looking at. Yeah, 5 seconds, optimum time.
5 seconds flat, yep.
But Dan Cran saying classic over pushing once you get through. Yes, definitely. Actually, one of those things where you get so excited, now you're like, all right, I gotta catch the leader, and then you just kind of overcook it a little bit. I've done that in qualifying, because you're sitting there going, okay, let's do this. But let's see, GB3 versus Laren, round 2 with GB3 right behind. Is he gonna be close enough to make a similar move? We'll find out.
Boy, he was close. He was only 0.2 off of him going into the bus stop there, or into the corner one there, but
I think he's
we
just too
will,
far back here to make
too
anything
far back
happen.
now.
Yeah,
Yep.
yes, he's gonna have the toe, but it's not that long of a straight to really catch up and be meaningful unless you're right there. But
It's real hard mental game right there too. After you did finally make a pass you've been eyeing up all race, and then make a mistake and the guy gets right back around you, it does, as Dan Krantz saying in the chat, it's like, oh man, it's just such a classic case where you finally get free of the car in front of you, and you've gotten so locked into following his taillights around that track. Now without them there, for some reason you just can't see your braking points right anymore, and you make a mistake.
Yep.
Such a bummer.
Yeah, but Dan Krantz also saying round 200. I mean, you mean? And I'm like, yeah. Feels like round 200 probably for GB3. Maybe shall we say, let's call it boxing match 2. We had boxing match 1, which went the distance, and then through a little reset, we're into boxing match 2 that looks like it's going to go all 10 minutes, last 8 minutes here. So we'll see if GB3 is able to pull anything off. I'm going to actually hop back a little bit to the Williams and Suave fight. I see you having a pip. I'll go to the wing of Williams. See,
He's been right there for a while. Just can't seem to find a way to get anything on Williams when he needs it.
yeah, that's a very common thing we've been seeing with some of these tighter tracks. Is just maybe somebody's just I forget who said it. It was at Donington. Someone was faster in all the wrong areas.
Yep.
But Suave opts to go to the pit with 8
Time for
minutes
the pit
left.
lane.
So back to our closest fight with GB3 and Laren as they continue on.
See how long he's in the pit lane. He's at 20 seconds just traveling down the pit lane right now. So see how long it takes him total time lost in the pit lane here.
And talking about GB3, if I had to use one word to describe his effort tonight, so far has been relentless. No matter, had a couple big wiggles off tracks that sent him back about a second and a half, and we just keep finding he claws his way right back up there to the back end of Laren.
Yeah, determination, just grit and determination from GB3 here, and especially after the season he had. It's been a rough season, I'll say, for GB3, just through car being a fucking Bronco, basically, the wrangle for him, and his internet being a common denominator in a lot of his issues this season. So to continue on and show, like, all right, this last race, I want to do it and have that fiery spirit, really shows the fighting nature that GB3 actually has here. So excited to see what he brings next season as well. He can keep this up.
For sure. I did really spread out the field now. Let's see, who else still needs to pit here?
Pretty much P1 through 6, P8, and P12.
Yeah. So the top 6 are going to be having to make their stops soon. I know in the race last night, I pretty much left it till the last moment. But the undercut did prove to be strong and came out right beside Maxwell, which he ended up taking it to the win because of that. But yeah, we'll see what happens. It could really shake things up here in the last minute. You just never know what's going to happen when the car has to slow down into the pit lane. They could be so locked in and so zoned in on making those good laps. Just that little bit of a break could really throw a wrench in things.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely one of those things where it's a strategy game with such a large window. I know when I first joined, we only had, I think, 10 minutes to pit. Our pit window was dead center of the race, so I believe it was minute 35 to 25. So you really had to make all of your passes on track that point. But we ended up trying out the longer pit window, especially because, you know, lap 1 incidents happen, and if you're involved in a lap 1 incident, you have to go pit, repair, and then come back out, and you have to pit again to meet the pit requirement.
Yeah,
So-
that's a real bummer.
That was one of the big selling points of the longer pit window, and it has really proved popular, and it has opened up a lot of different strategy calls that we've seen, especially tonight with the undercut versus overcut. Just seeing when people pit, it's really changed the way that we have to think about a race, especially off your starting position.
Yeah.
Speaking of pitting, I have a thought on this battle between second and third, and it kind of came to me from our comments here. DC Storm saying GB3 definitely not box last lap, and I happen to agree with that, because what happens if Laren boxes first and takes that inside line in the last corner? May very well disrupt the line of GB3 and cost GB3 time down the straight, which would be crucial, which also would pad the lead of Laren. So if I'm GB3, I'm definitely pitting first before just in case that somehow becomes an issue, especially as GB3 is getting closer to the back end of that McLaren. That may become more and more of an issue as he gets closer.
Well, that, and also he's actually been faster lap after lap than Laren. So if you get that chance and you are, say, in a lap right now 2/10 quicker than the person you're following, perfect opportunity. But it looks like Krocek has pit and Laren has pit. GB3 stays out. So this is where
Interesting.
Yeah, it's gonna get interesting. I'm on the Suave fight, but I think you are on it. I'm actually gonna hop on board with GB3 for this lap, because he is gonna have to pit coming through this lap, because he is not gonna have enough time to complete another lap. Once
Yeah, he has to at this point.
this is the last lap for him to pit.
Real quick, something else to point out. We mentioned Turner Johnson behind by just 1 point for the silver standings right now. Turner's 8 seconds behind Alejandro Gil. He's been making up about 2.5 to 3 seconds per lap.
Oof.
So
So if he takes that
one
spot-
spot, and Alejandro actually having
Yellow
issues
flag.
right now.
Pit
Just
line
went
flag
off
right
track
now.
in the bus stop.
Yeah.
This could be huge.
That's huge for Turner if that's the case. 'Cause he caught up rapidly. He's now 4.5 at the moment.
4.5
he got
down
way
from
wide
8.
through the bus stop.
Probably 2 laps left.
Yeah, it really depends on leader. Like, it's gonna be close if it's that extra lap. The worst is when they cross the line with what, a second.
Oh, another
left.
big slowdown from Gil. Down to 3 seconds now. This is going to be close for Johnson to get that last point.
Williams,
Very close.
Let's see, Williams has entered the fight with Suave and Speed again.
Yeah. I think, yeah, geez, that's getting really tight after everybody pitted. They're right back at each other's throats.
All right, well,
Beverly is now entering the pits. He did make his pit requirement on his last possible opportunity.
if you follow
Very
GB3,
similar to what I did last night.
I'm gonna pull Eric up and see where they come out, because Eric is coming out of the boot now.
Absolutely. Sounds great. Here we go. I'm on board with Beverly. He stopped. See how long he stopped for. Hopefully a quick 5 seconds. Is he going to make it? It seems a little long. Seems like he might have been a 7-second.
Yeah, let's get one of those. Let's get one of those feeds on this Johnson Gil battle, because this is going to be crucial if he's going to take this.
Yeah, I will jump on as soon as yeah.
It looks like Laren's
GB3,
out
And he
front.
does.
But yeah, I'm jumping right now to Johnson. This is going to be very key. Oh, he
He's going to
has
go
it.
around Gil right here.
He has
Gil's
the
letting him
overspeed.
by.
Oh, no!
Clarence out. He goes for the big block into the bus stop.
What is Gil
Massive
doing?
block.
That was insane. It looked like he was moving over and letting him by, and then he just moved back onto the line. What is he doing?
That is stressful. Last second, Williams also looking like, if you stay on this, I'm going to hop to Williams, who's also potentially making a move as well.
All over the back of Suave. No kidding. Okay, he's finally going to try around the outside at the toe of the. Oh my
Oh,
goodness!
Keeps it alongside. He's got it there. Just barely avoids the grass. Got the McLaren top end now.
Yeah,
Well,
he's past it.
There was that
As long
move.
as there's no dive. And there is a dive. Gillis goes back to the inside.
Oh, and he cuts him off too. Oh, that's terrible.
Oh, that's
Sad to see.
unfortunate.
But Gil does spin
I hate
out.
to pick sides, but that was deserved.
Oof.
Yeah.
But
And really unavoidable for Johnson.
I am
but that's
not
going to give
gonna-
him that 1 point.
Not going to go back and replay that one.
Well, Krocek is approaching the line. We also had a move that I was showing Williams through the S's on, I believe that's Suave, but Krocek is your race winner. Followed 10 seconds behind is Laren, and ever closely is GB3 taking P3. Good fight from those two. That was a well-fought fight for the top three there. And then Marvin coming in P4. Marvin, quiet race
Wow,
from
he's
him.
got the rubber chicken for sure.
Oh, 100% quiet race from him. Did everything correctly and has made it work. P4.
18 places gained.
Yeah, Neil takes your silver winner. Then Jarowski, again, having a good recovery race, coming in P6. Johnny Air, P7. Speed, followed by Williams, followed by Suave, who also those three just seem to be glued to each other tonight after Williams had that unfortunate incident. Felipe comes in P11 as they come out of the boot right now. But that is back-to-back wins, by the way, for Krocek.
Well, he's been strong all season. Every time I was in a practice server with him, he was the name at the top of the list, man.
I know. So strong performance from him. I don't believe it was enough to overcome Laren, considering that Laren finished P2. And then yeah, driver of the day would be Ethan Marvin. But standings wise, I think someone's asking, does Sutherland take T3? I think Turner takes it after that move that we saw in that fight with at the end there. So
Sure would be
Correct.
interesting
Turner
to talk
did
to Johnson and
take
find out
it.
what happened.
Turner with 442, Sutherland with 436. So Turner or Johnson, sorry, does take silver.
geez, that
Wow.
was a how much did that swing it by? I think maybe a couple points.
Well, updated the standings updated a little bit later to Sutherland losing a spot from 4th to 5th, so that also contributed as well.
Oh,
So widened that gap from 1 point to 8.
well, we will have to see what the server comes back with as well for final standings. I know server can have a little bit of a different opinion sometimes. But I know that Krocek won. I want to pull him up here, obviously, along with Neil, but I also want to get the winners. I believe Krocek and Williams won the team series, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct, yes.
So I think we pull up Krocek, obviously, for winning, but we also pull his teammate up with him at the same time. Considering
We
that
can absolutely do that.
Sounds good.
yeah, they're
I'd
both
love to get Johnson up here too and find out what happened in that pit stop.
I'm gonna pull both of them into the cooldown room to make it a little easier to. Krocek moved back.
He's like, I don't want to leave the driver's briefing or
Yeah.
the race review.
Yeah, just a quick rundown for between that team championship. Champion Motorsports takes it with 1,084 points. ZDR Blackbird finishes with 956.
All right.
Beautiful.
Well, let's pull the team up here of Krocek and Williams. Alex and Sean, welcome to the booth, both of you. Alex, I know this is back-to-back wins for you, and then Williams, you had a solid finish there, which also helped you guys get the team championship.
feels pretty good. Um, yeah, kind of a quiet race on my end, but it feels great to be back up here and to win it with Sean.
I know you mentioned it was a quiet race. Were you kind of looking at the timings there as you saw DB3 and Laren kind of battling it out and you kind of extending it out and it's kind of got a little bit of breathing room every single lap?
Yeah, the hardest part was just like the focus between watching that gap and wondering what was happening back there, and then watching my deltas. I'm thinking what I'm gonna say to you guys, and just trying to, not bin it was probably the trickiest part. But it
You also had
ended well.
a good rear gunner back there for some time. Sean, I know you were sitting in the top 5 there for a while. Bus stop got to you a little bit, but still, you guys ended up having a solid finish, which, like I said, got you guys the team championship.
Yeah. Yeah, it was funny. We were on comms and I go off in the bus stop and all I can think in my head is do not scream into Alex's ear. Do not do not mess up his race with this mistake. But thankfully it all worked out and I don't know what I sounded like Alex on comms, but it was probably pretty humorous.
I think you kept your composure pretty well.
You guys
Sean
were
and
quite.
Go ahead, sorry.
You guys were quite the team. It looked like throughout most of the race. It's cool to hear that you guys were on comms. Were you purposely, Sean? Were you purposely trying to, be the rear gunner there, or were you just kind of running your own race? It seemed like you got involved in some pretty decent battles there as well.
Yeah, no, I was just running my pace and kept complimenting Alex on how well he was pushing the front of the group and what his pace was at. I mean, that was the best I could do. And yeah, and I had Sutherland behind me. He kept getting closer, and then I would get a gap. He'd get closer, and I'd get a gap. And even though there wasn't much passing and there wasn't much action door to door from the just management of gaps, it was pretty big mind commitment, and it was a good race. It was fun. A good end of the season.
Definitely excited to see what you guys come up with for Shuey for the season reveal coming up here.
Oh, jeez. I thought that was just a driver's championship requirement.
It's everybody. Gold, silver, and team all have to do a Shuey.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, the one I would call out on behalf of Alex and I, Champion Motorsports, our full team that we race with, and it's just a good group of guys, and they always help us out when we have questions on setups and fuel consumption and all kinds of stuff. And I don't think we would be doing as well if it weren't for that group supporting us. So really appreciate them.
I think Paul A is going to be over the moon with this as a Champion Motorsports ticks another box.
I believe so.
Nice work, guys. Adam, you got anything for these fellas?
No, just great job on doing what you had to do, going out there with a game plan and executing and just running your race and not making any unnecessary or taking on any unnecessary risks. It was a real pleasure to watch somebody watch a team cohesively execute like that and come out on top for the season. So just big congratulations there, guys.
Thank you. I just want to add one thing. Sean and I have been doing this thing together for, I don't know, it's about like 3 years, since 2020. And back when we were doing it on like PlayStation 4 and Project Cars 2. In a league as well, but a much less well-run one. So this feels like a really good sort of commencement of that. So thank you guys for the broadcast. And
Yes,
Absolutely.
thank you guys. And also shout out to SRA. I mean, this league is fantastic. The amount of commitment everyone puts into this is unbelievable, and it's been a blast. And I have no idea how we are not paying for this. It should be entry fee every single race.
The admins have put on quite a showing as well, considering that they've wrangled, like we said, all of us. I think there's 1,700 of us in this Discord, and they've wrangled us to have a good battles week in and week out.
yeah, it's quite a feat.
Absolutely.
Well, I'll let-
Fantastic stuff, guys. Thanks for the entertainment tonight, man. It was fun to watch everything.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
I'm in the cooldown room first so they can figure out where they want to go. I'm gonna bring Eric Laren, our gold winner, up, and then maybe I'm gonna probably shoot some messages off D3, see if we can maybe get Turner. Well, if we don't get Turner or Ethan Marvin, I think we can bring up GB3 as well.
Supposedly he's demanding an interview, according to our chat.
That would be Martin saying he does. But I'm gonna bring up Eric here. Eric, welcome to the booth. Once again, you have been a main staple here this season, and it has shown because you have won the gold split for the Drivers' Championship.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think I was very consistent throughout all the season, avoided any drama, and here we are with the championship.
You're gonna have a fun time with that shoey there. It's gonna be interesting to see what you
Yeah.
come up with.
I feel like I'm being punished for being good.
No, it's a reward. It's a reward. Come on.
It's an honor to drink from your racing shoe.
Yeah, you'll have to do it too, Dudley.
Oh yeah, I know. I've been debating on which shoes I'm going to use. I do race with shoes on. Do you race with shoes on?
Nope, and I don't want to do it with socks. I saw someone do it in the
yes.
delivery stream at the beginning of season. It was kind
Roger.
of disgusting.
Last name Roger. It starts with a D, but he was, I think, the D.
Yeah, I never saw something that gross. So no.
We've seen some creative loopholes, but they've quickly been outlawed.
I think I'm just gonna do it by the book, get it done with it.
It's time for some new driving shoes anyway, so I'm probably just gonna, use these ones up for that, and then it's on to some new ones.
That's a good excuse.
Well, do you have anything you'd like to say to everybody watching, Eric, before these two get their last questions in?
Thank you for the great season. It was very fun competing with you, and thank you for the commentating as well. It was always a pleasure to watch back the race with you commentating our performance.
You're welcome. We love doing this. That's why we volunteer and spend our time watching all the excitement you guys bring.
Yeah, thanks for the entertainment.
My pleasure.
Adam, you got anything?
Yeah, I just want to say congrats on a stellar season, doing exactly what you needed to do. As last week it could have been anyone's championship. Obviously, with the points mix up on the very last lap, it rewarded you for your consistency, and here you are at the end of the season with the championship. So just a big congratulations there on a really well done season.
Thank you very much.
All right, what do you say we send him on his way and get that GB3 interview going, huh?
And we'll bring you to D4 and D3 chat there.
All right, thank you.
All right, well, I'm gonna pull GB3 up, and he's probably gonna be in the middle of a conversation, so I'm gonna drop him in the cooldown room.
That happened to me last night. Literally mid sentence got jerked.
Yep, I do it all too often, but
For the record, that was Raph, not me.
But yeah, let's pull GB3 up here. Gordon Beverly the Third.
Well, what do we have here, boys? Is that a podium?
Well, we've got our rubber chicken winner in the booth. No, I'm just kidding.
I went one spot back.
It was a good race from you. I know you've been having too many issues this season, and tonight everything went well for you, and you were able to show everyone what you're able to do when things fall your way.
Look, Austin, at the beginning of the season, you lauded me with compliments saying I was a nice guy and I was helpful and I was always in Discord. Next season, I'm turning heel. You guys can see what happens when I got good internet. I'm coming for D3. Y'all are being put on notice right now. Get your sweat in or get out of here.
Wow. Fighting words.
And Martin Riggs, come back and race with me next season. Damn it.
I mean, you did run through the ranks. You went D5, D4, and now you're running through D3 next season.
Yeah, see, I bought a new router today, and the old router saw that one sit on the table and said, "Look, I'm going to get my act together." And we had a good evening of racing.
You did.
So-
You had a great time out there, man. You were putting in some fast times, challenging for that second place the whole time. Tell us a little more about that battle. How did that look from your perspective?
Yeah, so he got me off the start. Starting in the second spot is a little tricky because you were on the outside going to turn one. So he was aggressive as he should have been and got in front of me. I'll generally say, and him and I talked about it for a few minutes, is I think I had the pace generally on him. It's just finding a spot to pass him. And I'd say this was probably my most mature race. I'd say is I haven't had an actual race in a while. Actual like battling for position and all that. But it was really paying attention to where was he having trouble, and I could see he was having trouble in the toe a lot of times and in the heel. So I felt like I could set him up in sector 3 and then get a run on him going into sector 1, basically down the long backstretch. And that's where I ended up getting by him going into the chicane. But some issues with the blue flag in front that kind of put me off, that gave him the spot back. But that was generally the race. It was kind of a yo-yo back and forth. He'd be consistent. I'd make a mistake. I have to catch back up to him. Rinse and repeat. But good on him for staying consistent and staying in front and being quite the wall.
Yeah. One more question following up on that. Did you ever think about, because it seemed like, as you said, you had some pace on him, but we're having trouble finding to get around him. Did you ever think about short stopping it to getting your pit stop out of the way and trying to make the jump on him that way?
Yeah, it had gone through my mind, and this is where it'd be awesome to have my wife not sleeping upstairs and actually down here being a race engineer like I asked her to. But I was looking at the map because I was like, well, maybe I can undercut and but I was worried that I would get, because I had basically, it was me and Krochek, I think pace wise. I felt that if I were to go into the pits and then come back out and be behind pretty much anybody, I'd be in the same position or maybe even worse. So I said, screw it, I'm going to wait for him to pit, and then I'm going to roll the dice and see if I can put down an absolute heater while he's in the pits, and hope that I can pit after him and then come out in front. And I mean, he came out like 6/10 ahead of me. I think I had an extra second in the pit for some reason. I don't know why. But I mean, it was a dice roll, but I wasn't going to put myself back into those other cars. And so, maybe with a little more experience and a little more research on how long that pit actually is, I could, maybe I take a different strategy next time. But say la vie.
Yeah. Darn those wives not being race engineers when they need to, darn it.
I know, what the hell.
All right. Well, I'll let you get back to planning on sweating for next season already. And
Yes, sir. And real quick, Austin, as Jason said, thank you guys for all the work you guys did this season. It's a pleasure to be able to literally leave my rig and go watch the race and relive it again with you guys talking over it. So thank you guys for your time and effort.
No problem. We appreciate
Thanks
it.
for the
and
entertainment,
we love
man.
doing it.
Cool. Y'all have a good one.
You the same.
Too.
Later.
That was GB3. I did end up getting Turner Johnson to join a chat, so we're gonna pull him up, being the silver. And we're running a bit long, but end of season, you gotta run long. You got so many things.
I want to hear what he has to say about his pit stop too. What the heck happened right there?
I know, but here is Turner Johnson. Come to the booth.
Gentlemen, it's good to talk to y'all again.
It is good to talk to you. We had awesome time watching this race because Adam here was doing live points standing updates for us, so we got to sit there.
You kept me busy. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, we got to watch the nail biter and hear about it. Every update, it was like, down. You were down at one point by a single point, and then you overtaking a car in the last like 2 minutes.
Which
believe.
was a fiasco.
Yes.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
an
it
interesting battle to watch for sure. Yes.
Yes. But that was enough to win you the silver championship.
Oh man, I'll tell you guys, it was definitely a race. Was what that was. Yeah, like I was gonna say, my teammate Mike Lee in the sister car, he had a lot of disconnects recently, and I was like, my time. But yeah, my ISP, like I had a new place I moved into, and it's been rock solid. But today it went down, and then they like full on texted me, and they're like, "Yo, it's back. You're good." And that was like at 8 o'clock, like an hour before the practice or the race opened. So it was all good up until the race. It was just that like split second. And like it didn't even like it was weird. It didn't like full on drop me too. So I kind of just like left and then came back and forgot to load my setup too. So the last whole last stint that I was running on whatever stock setup it was, and I had like 25
boy.
degrees of pressure on the right. Yeah,
No
like
kidding. Wow.
yeah, so that's where it got a little sketchy because the car was just like set up for a guy that was their first day driving, I guess. I had to really like kind of adjust. Like I noticed that my outlap, I was like, oh yeah, like 60 degrees like brake bias. I'm gonna put that down a little later. Had to do some quick adjustments. So that was I'm glad you guys were tracking because I was panicking a bit. I thought the championship was done. I thought it was wrapped. And then yeah, like we were looking at the points here at the end with my buddies in chat, and I had just scraped by. So I guess that last overtake. I mean, what do you guys think of that last overtake? I thought it was a bit saw some, both sides, but
It was definitely a dive I probably wouldn't have taken myself to try to get back by you there, but I mean, made it interesting for us to watch for sure.
I'm not a
I think
steward.
that-
That's the only thing I'm saying about that.
yeah,
where
they
I
were
was
carrying some
going.
damage or something, and they
Maybe
were
it's the
trying to
steward cams.
stay ahead. So it's understandable though. Like I think because I was 10 seconds, 9 seconds behind them a lap before that. I think the lap before the last. So I didn't think it was a chance I'd get the overtake. So
Well, he was all over the track in front of you. He was losing time
Yeah,
left and right.
he had a spin in the bus stop that actually let you get most of that back.
I started the season clean, guys. I just want to finish it clean, but
Yeah,
right.
It's not how sim racing goes sometimes. But,
Yeah, with that added context, though, you coming out with the wrong setup, that makes me even more impressed because I was actually keeping an eye on your lap times as you were after your pit, and you were still cruising. You were one of the fastest cars in the field with that setup.
No, I appreciate that, and I was like surprised to be able to kind of put it together. But it took 2-3 laps to kind of really figure out what the car wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I was driving it with the esports, Go setup, and you gotta just point it like the minimal degree, input steering input. And this was like I was driving the Merc again. I was like driving the Mercedes. You had to just keep going. Like it just didn't really want to turn in. Had to do a lot of adjustments. So to get that fast lap in, I think I got like a 45.5 or something crazy like at the end. But yeah, it was definitely a tall order on the weird setup. And yeah, the only adjustments I did were like I noticed that I had it like after I left the pits. I was talking to my guys and just like sitting there for a minute and a half and didn't think about it. And like TC2 was on like 6, and all that shit. So I got all those set up, and that kind of helped. But what are you gonna do?
Yeah, that's a lot to overcome with a drop. Internet connection drop right in the middle of a race like that. So good job keeping the mental game going through all that, man.
Appreciate that, guys. And I mean, what a season! I mean, everybody in D3 was great. I think this season for the majority of it, on track. And there's definitely some incidents here and there. Definitely a lot more shenanigans, but just want to shout out to the rest of D3, especially the guys in silver. We had some good battles. Neil Sutherland, that man's a champ, bro. I've been battling him for a while, even in different leagues before we got to SRA and stuff. So shout outs to Neil. He's a good competitor. I guess my question was, where do we end up in the team standings? So I'm gonna ask you guys some stats. Like, I know they were missing Coach Jeffries this week. P2.
Correct. P2. You had 1013, and Champion Motorsports took it with 1100.
All right. Well, shouts to champions, but we me and Nate, we had a tough finish to the season. We were hoping for a little better race. So he got taken out on the beginning too. So yeah, Nate had a good race where he was just bringing it back and getting some points. So shout outs to my teammate Nate Roger, and yeah, I don't have too much else to say unless you guys have some more analysis. But I just want to thank everybody. You guys all did great. Thanks to the commentators and everybody at SRA putting it together.
Thank you. Yeah, that was all I had.
Yeah, thanks for the entertaining racing, man. It was a ton of fun to watch.
Yep,
Definitely. Well,
big congratulations to you, and looking forward to next season.
definitely. I look forward to next season as well. Hopefully we maybe move up the grid, but D3 has been a good home the last 2 seasons, so glad to have a good results. And I'll be brewing up some ideas for the old Shui video.
Oh, yeah.
I guess that'll have to go.
Right on. I'll see you in those, man.
Hell yeah. Well, GG's.
Have a good night, Turner.
All right, you guys too. Thanks.
Turner, our silver winner, and I believe that's everybody that we really wanted to get. I know, like I said, we are running a bit longer than we normally do. Had to really get everybody's input on winning and everything. But real quick, huge thank you to all of our SRA sponsors and title sponsors for supporting us here at SRA, as well as support from Documize, a modern business solution for product management. Go to documize.com to learn more today. Support from Retro Saga, a North American-based gaming company that provides accessories for your favorite classic systems. Enhance your retro gaming experience today at retrosaga.ca. Big thank you to all of our affiliates. Track Racer. Experience redefined gaming with Track Racer's high-quality sim rigs and accessories. Use code SRATE at checkout to support us. Armamentario, a toolbox for ACC that will enhance your chance to win. Enjoy a fully customizable and enhanced HUD to change the way you experience ACC. And lastly, to Go Setups. Premium esports setups for everyone. Use our affiliate link on our Discord and take your drive to that next level. Well, that was all of our sponsors, and a huge thank you to everyone in SRA, from the admin team all the way to the racers and even the fans. We appreciate you guys coming out every week and watching me jumble over my words and watching these drivers make all the entertainment. Dudley, do you have anything that you'd like to say as closing here?
Well, yeah, man. I was my first season with SRA, and I'm just super thankful to be welcomed into us awesome sim racing community, both on the track, in the racing, and here in the broadcasting booth. Overall, just wanted to put it out to everybody, man. If you're into sim racing and you haven't checked out this league, you should come check it out. These guys are the real deal, and they do a great job hosting some races. There's no entry fees, which is unbelievable, and it's just a ton of fun. So thank you guys for welcoming me to the booth and getting me involved. It's been a great season. I look forward to the next one.
Yeah. You, Dudley, it's been a fun time having you up here. Adam, what do you got for us?
Well, first of all, just thanks for having me in the D3 booth. It was fun to watch this battle, probably the closest championship battle we had out of all the divisions. So it was really neat to see how that panned out for everybody. And just like you guys said, want to thank everybody out in the community, especially our sponsors, title sponsors, and all you guys who support the community out of your own pockets. That's absolutely awesome, and you allow us to do the lion's share of what we do here. So just thanks for keeping that going. We love y'all, and hope to see you on track again next season.
I think Adam put it pretty well as well. And buddy, on that note, we will see you next season.